No, there are no magnets. Well, that's not true. At the head of the instrument, there are these little magnets at the edges right there.
This is the show that's never about magnets. We talk about stuff, but never about magnets. A pretty good show, and also fuck magnets. This is the show.
Hello, Yashar.
Fuck, I'm sorry. I shouldn't say those words, right?
No, it's okay.
All right.
It's the internet.
It's the internet.
Filthy.
That's right. It is pretty filthy.
Yeah. I'm glad we decided to take that break and get shaves and change our clothes.
Indeed, you know.
But now we can continue the interview.
That's right. That's
All right.
right.
Let's talk about stuff.
Yes, let's talk about stuff.
All right.
Brian.
What do you want to talk about? Why did you bring me here?
Why did I bring you here? Jeez. All right.
All right, I'll introduce you.
All right.
Okay, everyone. This is Yashar Garzan, a very cromulent
It's a perfectly cromulent word.
and groovy dude who is an expert, if not master, of this instrument. And want to tell us about this thing?
Very well, but I must insist that it's false advertising to suggest that I'm a master.
Okay.
I still have much to learn.
Okay, I dig that. False modesty is cool. You know?
You know what? You know what? All right.
All right.
I gotta be zen now. I gotta be zen.
Yeah.
I gotta be in the center. All right. So this instrument it's a traditional Chinese musical instrument called guzheng, and it has no English translation. It's often incorrectly translated as a Chinese zither or a Chinese harp, but really it has no translation.
Gu is old.
Yeah, gu means old or ancient.
And zheng means
zheng.
zheng.
Zheng is the name of the instrument. So together it's guzheng. It's like the full name of the cello is violoncello, and so it's kind of like that. It's like that. This is the full name, guzheng. It has exactly 21 strings, and traditionally, it has like 12 or 13 strings, like the Japanese koto. But the modern version has 21 strings. And to play the modern strings, you need these artificial nails that you tape to the tips of your fingers. They kind of look like claws. But
So it's like the banjo.
kind of, yeah, like the banjo.
There we go.
And let me see. Yeah, it's one of China's oldest string musical instruments. It's survived so much war, famines, disasters, and it's alive still and sounds ever so sweet. You know. Ooh, it's really nice, like candy, you know.
It's got a very unique sound.
Oh yeah, so so the sound of it. It's very, very gentle. So I'll just run through the strings.
It's like a transition scene where it goes like this.
Oh yeah.
And then they start telling a story about ancient China.
Exactly. Start telling stories.
Long ago.
Long ago. In the ancient China. Or,
Wonderful.
And okay, so let's see what else to say about this instrument.
I think that's it. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye. I mean, because I don't want to take up too much time with this instrument because it could really take up a lot of time. Maybe to give you an idea. So when it comes to classical guzheng music, there's two main categories. There's a traditional music and the contemporary music. The contemporary music you can hear everywhere, but the traditional music, I barely heard any performance of like a traditional guzheng music.
Interesting.
So I'll just talk about the traditional part because altogether it'll take up too much time.
Yeah, and the modern one is just like playing this instrument in pop music, right?
No, because
Okay, so when you
Because
say
it's classical music.
okay.
There's two main categories of the classical guzheng music. Pop music is another category, you know.
Oh, okay. So the two main ones and one minor one, which is pop music.
It's not that it's minor, it's just that it's not the classical music.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Just because modern, I'm thinking like,
Yeah.
you know, like
Like Nicki Minaj.
Nicki Minaj. Yeah, I was Kanye.
Kanye, yeah.
He's got it in his new beat.
Definitely. So when it comes to the traditional music of this instrument, there are 5 major traditional styles. I personally know 7, and there's most guzheng players, they know about 7 or sometimes 8 traditional styles. So I'll give you examples of all of the different styles. I won't describe them too in depth because that'll take up much more time. So I think it'll just be better to just hear it so that you can hear what it sounds like. And because this music, it's rarely performed on stage, and when it is, it's performed in a very modern way. So they have modern additions, modern techniques, and all of that. So let me see. We'll start. So China, the musical styles are divided into Northern Chinese and Southern Chinese.
Okay.
And so we'll start with the Northern. How about that? So in Northern China, there are 3 main traditional guzheng styles. The first that I'll talk about is Henan, the Henan style. All of these styles are named after the places where they came from.
Okay.
So the first style is Henan, and this style, the distinct features, the idiosyncrasies of this feature is that there's a lot of heavy shaking sounds, like very, very, very earthquakey, like, you know. And when it comes to the plucking, they usually use just these 2 fingers, the middle finger and the thumb, because those are the strongest fingers actually when playing this instrument. So the music can be very loud if you want it to be. And the typical sound of it is kind of like this. Let me see. Okay. And that's the typical example of the Henan guzheng music. Very shaky. It kind of reminds me of bamboo, actually.
I was saying it sounds like a party.
Yeah, it sounds kind of like a party. It's very rhythmic,
Yeah.
very humorous. There's a lot of humor in this music. A lot of it sounds like laughter. Like you know, it's
Right,
like
right.
very,
Yeah.
very much like it sounds like laughter. That kind of music. Okay, so then
Was it used as like a festival music?
it could be. Yeah, actually, the traditional where the tradition comes from is from a genre in Henan music called Teochew, which was music that was played in the beginning of a song that was going to be sung. So it's kind of like a overture in that sense. It's the same idea, like an overture or something like before an opera starts. There's like this
see.
instrumental part in the beginning, and this is called Teochew. Yeah.
Oh,
And yeah, that's
interesting.
that's all that's going to be said for now for the Henan music. The next style is Shandong style. This style is not as shaky as the Henan style. It's even though they're neighbors, the regions. The plucking. So in Henan style, they use the whole thumb to pluck inward and outward of the string like this. But in Shandong style, they only use the joint instead of the whole finger.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, they just use the joint.
It makes it softer.
Yeah, it's much softer, and how to put it? The bending is much more delicate, I think. Yeah, at least I would say so. Here's an example of a typical example of Shandong guzheng music. That's the typical example of Shandong guzheng music. It's much softer, much lighter. Reminds me of kind of like a of a stream or like like stream water or river water. Yeah, it has that very fluid kind of feeling to it.
Yeah, it feels, I mean, it makes sense to me. Because Shandong is the birthplace of Confucius.
Yeah, Confucius.
So I always think of it as kind of this like literary center, you know.
Oh yeah.
Henan has kind of a reputation for being like, you know, kind of a working town.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
People are kind of like doing stuff, and
Definitely.
and Shandong, I imagine people kind of sipping tea and contemplating
the moon.
The moon. Yeah. What would Confucius say about the moon?
What would Confucius say? I'm not sure.
Yeah. Excellent.
Okay, so yeah, that's the second style from the northern China. The third style is Shaanxi. It's also called Xibei and also called the Qin style, like the Qin dynasty. Because the Qin dynasty, the capital of the Qin dynasty was in modern day Shaanxi, you know. And this guzheng tradition, the Shaanxi guzheng tradition, comes largely from the vocal traditions of Shaanxi, which has a very bluesy kind of feeling to it. It's like a, I can't do it right, but it has a very rough sound, like a, it's like very rough, and it's like here's a kind of an example of that from the Shaanxi guzheng tradition. Very vocal.
Yeah.
You know?
you can hear someone singing.
Oh yes,
like
this music often expresses grief. So like there's a lot of sadness and like, because you know the history of the typical Chinese person throughout history is like one of, you know, great difficulty and like struggle and suffering, unfairness. So like this music is very meaningful, especially to the people of the Shaanxi region.
So when I think of Xibei, I think of kind of like kind of Qinghai and like that area. Shaanxi it seems a little. I always get them mixed up in China. West.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so is that because at the time it was considered to be the northwest of China? You know, like the frontier moved.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's interesting. Yeah, kind of like Mississippi being considered, you know, the edge of the United States.
Yeah.
You know, back.
Oh yeah.
Back. You know.
And
Interesting.
One distinctive feature of the Shaanxi music is they use they would strum many strings at the same time. So the typical way to play this, it would be just 2 strings. But the Shaanxi would use many strings, like. You know, it's like because it has that rough sound like a voice, you know?
Yeah, a little bit of discord.
Yeah, they like that rough sound. It's very beautiful, in the hands of a master, very beautiful. And so those are the 3 major styles from northern China for the traditional guzheng. Now we can go to southern China. So in southern China, there are 4 traditional styles that I know. The first one is called Zhejiang style, also called Wulin. This is the traditional style that developed in like the Jiangnan area, so like the Hangzhou and Jiangsu, you know, and
the rich part of China, of ancient China.
Yeah.
I think it's still the rich part of China.
It pretty much is.
Yeah, even to this day.
Yeah, and what's interesting about this music is that the left hand bending is compared to the other styles is relatively simple, but don't misunderstand that, because the artistry is to use those very simple techniques in a way that's artful and skillful and delicate and affectionate and all of that. But the main idiosyncratic feature of this music is the plucking. There's a lot of plucking. So like a typical pattern is to use the middle finger, the thumb, the index, and the thumb. So like. There's lots of plucking, and here's an example of the typical Zhejiang style guzheng music. sounds very aristocratic, actually.
Yeah, I was gonna say it sounds like Fujian music.
Yeah, it does. It's very melodic, very bright. Actually, this is a style that most guzheng players first learn because it's the easiest to learn, you know, because the bending is very simple and the plucking is, even though it's intricate, it's quite it uses all the basic techniques. But still, as I said, in the hands of a master, there's tremendous sophistication in those things. So yeah, that's an example of the Zhejiang style. The second style I'm going to talk about is Chaozhou. Chaozhou is one of I think it's the oldest guzheng style, traditional style that we know of, which is another way of saying that it's actually really complicated to actually memorize all of the details about it. Right. So back to Zhejiang for just a moment. The sound of Zhejiang guzheng is kind of reminds me of birds, you know, more like, but the larger birds, like cranes or something.
Right.
That's what it reminds me of. And speaking of nature, the Chaozhou music, it's very flowery. Like, it feels like something is blossoming. And here's an example of the Chaozhou, typical sound of the Chaozhou guzheng music.
Yeah, it's spring-like.
Yeah, it feels very flowery.
But not like the center of spring, like just the beginning.
Yeah, just the
like
very
there's
beginning.
Still a little snow on the ground.
Oh,
and
yeah.
the birds are coming back,
Exactly.
and you know things are kind of opening up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You have a great sense for it, a great feeling for it.
Beautiful.
Yes, very, very pretty. Also, a lot of this traditional music uses what we call in Western music theory microtones. So it's tones that are not exactly in tune, but they're actually a part of the style. So this one in Chaozhou music, this one right here, this is not exactly in tune, but this is the it doesn't sound, it's not exactly correct in the Western music theory,
right.
but this is actually a part of the style. And again, in the hands of a master, it can be very expressive, very beautiful.
Microtones in pop music are really, really interesting.
Yeah.
There's not many, but the recent Adele song, everyone was freaking out because she hits a note that's off key, but it's like very expressive. And
that B flat right there. Ooh, that B flat she's singing really sharp.
But it's like very expressive and beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
And people are saying it's like adding so much texture. And then there's a famous Eminem song that is almost completely microtonal.
Oh yeah.
It's like they have a synth line playing and it's completely out of tune.
Yeah.
But it's so tasty, you know.
Yeah, it's very nice. Like in the right hands, it can be very great.
Yeah.
But in an untrained hand, it's terrible.
Of course, yeah.
It sounds awful.
Yeah. But yeah, it seems like when you choose to be out of tune is it's like the salt or the hot peppers, you know. It's
what is it? Having absolute pitch is completely useless for this kind of music because Chaozhou music, it uses different modes. It doesn't have different keys, but it uses different musical modes, and each of them have kind of their own microtones, and so it's like having absolute pitch is really not helpful at all.
Are they defined? So like they say, oh, this is the exact note it should be, or is it up to taste? Like
kind of both. It is defined, but the way that it's used is very much up to the teacher to teach the student. Because the thing to know about the traditional Chinese music actually is that all the traditional music, when you see a performance of it, or if you hear a performance or a recording of it, each person will play it a little differently. Well, the deal with it is that the student learns and masters the traditions, and then they have to use it in their own way. But but of course guided by their teacher, especially in the beginning. But yeah, it's largely up to the performer how it's going to be used. And when to use it, and all. A lot of it is very intuitive. A lot of these traditional details are not written in the music.
Right.
You have to kind of, you got to feel it. I know it sounds kind of weird, but
I
you
think
gotta
that's
feel it.
true in like a lot of classical music.
Oh yeah.
You know, like especially string instruments, violin, things that can bend.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
things without frets. It's a lot more like, yeah, you know, it's written this way, but you're gonna just slide your finger just a half centimeter, you know, sharp on this note, and it's gonna make it feel this way. Yeah.
Exactly. And so yeah, we talked about Zhejiang, Chaozhou. Keja, so this style is not named after a region, it's named after an ethnicity, Chinese ethnicity. And it's actually a very friendly name, Keja. It's like it means, Ke means guest, but and Jia means like, it's kind of general, but it means like family. So like the combination of guest and family together is like really, really friendly. Like the guest is not expected to leave, they're welcome to be here.
I'm laughing because I think historically the Keja people were.
Yeah, historically it's a different story, but the word itself is really friendly.
Yeah, they were very abused.
Yeah.
But they're the guest family. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. And what's apart from its name, that it's not named after a region, the music is very distinctive because it's the only style that's repertoire is strictly solo music. So in traditional Chinese solo music, there's a lot of space and there's a lot of very, very slow, very spacious, and this is because it comes from the scholars. So like the traditional Chinese scholar music is almost always solo music, and there's a lot of, I'll just play it for you, that's easier than explaining it. So this is a typical example of the Kejia traditional guzheng music.
That's really nice.
It's very, very slow. The vibrato is not as tight. It's very wavy, very, very, very wavy. Lots of space. It's how to put it. Also, it uses microtones like and this one. So, but of course, it's not exactly supposed to be a still note. It's supposed to have a little bit of a wobbly vibrato. And maybe you start the vibrato slow, and continue it a little bit faster, like this.
I was gonna say, it reminds me of like still water.
Yeah.
And then like something like a flower petal, like resting on it.
Ooh.
And you know the pattern of the waves, how they spread out, the ripples.
Actually, this music reminds me much more of clouds or fog or mist.
Oh, yeah. Something slow moving.
Very slow moving that you don't really notice that it's moving or changing. But yeah, this music changes very slowly and moves very slowly. There's very few fast parts in this music. And when they arrive, and it's not supposed to be played very fast, just a little bit faster, But so yeah, that's the typical example of Kejia guzheng music, and so those are three styles from southern China. The fourth style is called Fujian. Fujian style, and this style is not really, how to put it? It's not really taken seriously, mainly because it's not considered distinctive enough. But I think, from what I see, I think it's slowly being taken more seriously with time. But yeah, the style is kind of a combination of Kejia and Chaozhou, the feeling, but it is very unique. A distinct feature of Fujian music is they like to, it's something like this. A lot, that kind of dropping feeling, like a water droplet, you know? Yeah, actually that technique, it's called the dragonfly touches the pond water. That technique.
I would,
you know,
I would have called it the laser fingers.
We shoot lasers. Lasers. Out of our fingers.
Can you just give me like one?
laser finger.
Yeah, just give me one of the notes.
One of the notes.
Like,
yeah.
So Fujian style has laser fingers.
Laser fingers,
And-
definitely. And another distinctive feature of Fujian Guzheng music is the use of octave displacement. What that is that on a musical instrument, so in traditional Chinese music, especially in ensemble music, the music is not written for each specific instrument. Only the melody is written out, and the musician plays in accordance to the style of the melody that's written. And so where octave displacement comes in is that if the melody goes too low or too high, and the instrument is not able to reach it, they will play the same notes but on another octave.
Okay.
Usually one octave below or one octave above, and you find octave displacement all over traditional Guzheng music, but it's very stylistic in Fujian music, because in the other styles they use it only when it's necessary, when they have fewer strings, of course, and but in Fujian they use it as a part of the style, and it's very, very light. To me, it feels like ripples in a lake or something. The style. So. Here's an example of the Fujian Guzheng music. Small example of that music, and those are all the styles that I know. And that kind of music is rarely performed, especially in its traditional way. So yeah, I just wanted to share that just so that some people could at least hear it. You know,
It's amazing.
Anyway,
Yeah. I mean, how many styles exist total? Or
no one knows for sure.
course.
There's a list that I saw online of this person. He lists a little over 10 styles. I think there's 11 or 12 styles that he lists, but some of them aren't even Chinese. Like one of them is like Korean style, which is like the Korean kayagum, which is like almost exactly the same. There's another style called Guangdong style, but again, that's not really considered distinctive enough. But I know some musicians who play in that style. It's really nice. It sounds very much like Chaozhou or like Chaozhou music, but yeah, it's very, very pretty. I don't know it, but yeah.
Okay. And I know you're doing like a research. Can you call it a research topic in Taoist?
Yeah,
music?
that's right. In Taoist music, yeah, like I'm in this place that I'm learning, and I'm learning traditional Taoist ritual and ceremony music, which is something that's kind of touched on but not really learned in China. That music is like the monks are really like they prefer to keep it. They don't want to. They don't want to put it in the public, you know. So it's not really learned very strictly.
Right.
But the melodies are they're first written down in the Ming Dynasty some hundred years ago, and it's really great. It's very nice. It's very, very religious, you know. Like it has the same feeling as religious music. Very, very long, very long notes and all of that. Very melodic, definitely.
Yeah, it's I know it's like kind of like a meme or a stereotype, the like ancient Chinese secret, but there really are a lot of them.
Oh yeah, there are.
But I think most of it is kind of like you don't want like if you have ceremonial music or something, you don't want it to be put on like a pop track or you don't want to. So I understand it. It's less about being secretive, I think, and more about like preserving the respect or the something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
So can you play one of them for us?
Sure.
Or is it too secret?
I mean, no, the music, I can play the music. The words, I haven't memorized the words because there's a lot of text in it, and it's very classical, and I haven't memorized
that's fine. We don't need to do...
But the melody, I could play one of the melodies for you. It's very simple. It's like, so it's meant to be sung, and there's meant to be a lot of percussion. In traditional Chinese music, percussion like bells and, gongs, they're supposed to be very cleansing, the feeling of it.
Oh, interesting.
Not so much in like the operatic music, but in the religious music, those instruments are meant to be very cleansing, to like kind of, put you into a very nice and smooth state of mind. But yeah, here's one of the melodies. It's very short. It's how does it go? Oh wait, there it is. That's it. It's supposed to be sung, and there's supposed to be percussions with
lovely.
it. But yeah, it's all pentatonic. There's no like it's all very simple, and it's very, very sweet kind of music, very sweet melodies.
Would you play it like one time? Is that the whole piece, or?
That was one of the pieces. Yeah, it was just very short, very short. Yeah.
So normally when you sing this or perform it, would it just be like one time or like?
This one you play one time, but there's other ones that are short, but there's so many lyrics that you repeat the melody over and over again with different lyrics, and it can last like a very long time.
Interesting.
So yeah.
I was an observer, I guess a passive participant, in the way that observers are participants in a 3-day Taoist ritual. And it was 3 days of chanting and singing and bells and things, and when you sit in that for a while, it really does something to your brain.
Oh yeah.
You just are really chilled out.
Yeah.
Kind of like you take a nap and you wake up and you're a little like, ooh,
Oh yeah.
It really does put you into a headspace.
Definitely. It's meant to do that.
Yeah.
That's the funny thing about it,
It reminds me a lot of Gregorian chanting.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's another powerful one.
It's the same feeling, definitely.
Yeah. Which is interesting. I wonder if anyone's ever tried to figure out like what is it that makes music religious or because it seems like harmonically simple, repetitive, but also with a lot of kind of like range.
I think the main characteristic of religious music is the overwhelming sense of guilt and shame. No, I'm joking.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it.
Oh yeah.
I think. Yeah.
Definitely.
Excellent. Excellent. Perfect. Yeah. That's what I like. Yeah. So cool. So how did you you're not Chinese?
No. How could you tell? No, I'm not Chinese.
So
I have no ancestry in East Asia, nothing like that. What is it? On my mom's side, she's from Colombia, Latin America, and we don't know anything else. I suspect that there's some European ancestry because some of my family look European, but yeah. I suspect, but we don't know.
Interesting.
They're not really interested in their family history. But on my father's side, it's a little more messy. My father, he's from Iran, and his family. So on his father's side, there's a Turkish and Armenian ancestry, and on my father's mother's side, there's Azerbaijani and Chechen ancestry there. So yeah, it's a big mess. No Chinese. There's Chechen, but no Chinese.
Random thought. I think in Azerbaijan they do baths in crude oil.
Oil is one of the most important and precious natural resources on the planet.
I have no idea.
I think that's true.
I mean, I'll take your word.
If
for
it's
it.
true, I'll put a link to that.
Definitely, the viewers want to see
if
that.
you want to see people in crude oil. Yeah. Wow. So how did you get into Chinese traditional music?
It started with my father, actually. So no one in my family is especially musical, except for my father's mother. She was a singer of the traditional like Persian singing. But my father, he would show me movies from all over the world, and one of them, when I was very little, I saw this Chinese movie. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Oh, that's the one?
No, not really. I mean, that was the movie that started my love of music and my love of the specifically Chinese music. And
I love that movie.
It's wonderful.
It's very good.
I love it. I'm crying every time. The music always hits me, especially right in the beginning. I remember I was like a little kid. I never cried in a movie before, but this movie, the music touched me so deep.
Yeah, it's guzheng and cello.
They use a lot of different instruments. They use so the cello is the main instrument. They also use erhu. It has a big presence. Erhu is like a Chinese bowed stringed instrument. It's the major stringed instrument, bowed stringed instrument in China right now. So in that movie they use the cello, the erhu. They use lots of percussion. They use the string orchestra. They use what is it?
The water phone.
Yes, they do. They do use the water. Yes, in the bamboo scene, they use the water. Yeah.
It's like the sound of the sword.
Yeah, the sound of the
whenever
sword.
It goes.
Yeah. And the guzheng is used in the movie, but very, very briefly in the nighttime scene where the young woman she steals the sword. It's not a spoiler at all. It's like very obvious.
Yeah.
It's like, so she when she steals the sword, you can hear a brief moment of the guzheng, like it does something like this as the contrabasses are playing just holding on to one note. As she's manipulating her way into the household to steal the sword, you hear a small burst of the guzheng do something like this, and then it comes again after a while. And it's like it's very. That's all that you hear of the guzheng. But yeah, that music was so beautiful, and that really got me into the that music. And I watched some more Chinese movies, and one of them had this instrument as a big part of the soundtrack, and it was so beautiful. I really loved it, and it was really like true love. It's just really, it was great. And
Wow.
I was lucky that there was a teacher only an hour away that was willing to teach me, especially when I didn't know any Chinese. There's many teachers who of this instrument in the United States, but some of them can't really speak English, or if they can speak English, they don't really know how to teach this instrument in English because the vocabulary is very unique, like very Chinese. It's not really possible to translate it. Even my own teacher, she would try to use as many English words as possible, but in many techniques, she would just use the Chinese, and I would just have to memorize, like, oh, this is what she means when she says that. Okay, there it is. But yeah.
Yeah, I actually, when I was living in Beijing, there was a Guqin school right by my house, and they had very reasonable lessons for beginners, for group classes. And one of the reasons I never learned it was they said, oh, well, you're a foreigner, so you're gonna like hold the whole class back, right? Because you won't understand what's being said. So you need to take the one-on-ones, which were like quadruple the price.
Oh yeah.
It was incredibly expensive.
Yeah.
And so I guess I know what you're talking about there. Yeah.
Yeah, I understand that lessons for this music is often pretty expensive. I think for me, what I usually paid was around $50 for one lesson. I had a lesson every week. So it certainly takes a toll financially.
And that was back.
Yeah.
I mean, back when Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon came out.
No, that came out when I was, I think, around 4 years. I think I was 5 years old at that time, because I remember it came out in December, so it was just right after my birthday. So it's like it came out in December, and in December. But anyway, that's how it went down. I was 4 years old, but I started learning this instrument. I started taking lessons when I was 13. I got the instrument when I was 11. My family was so slow. They like I kept begging them for years to get me the instrument, but they just didn't know where to get it, So I had to search everywhere. I mean, and I found a place. There's this pretty good place in California that sells really great quality instruments, and I found it, and they got it finally.
And do you still have that chin, or?
Yeah, it's back home though in DC.
Okay.
But yeah,
Wow.
I only have two of them. I have the one that I got back home. I thought that one was like the greatest of the greatest. Like when I got it and when I played it for the first time, it was like, this is the greatest instrument in the world. And then when I started taking lessons, I saw that my teacher had a really great quality instrument. It's like, oh geez, now my instrument sounds terrible. What is this,
Yeah.
It was hilarious. But yeah.
I've been fortunate, not with Guzheng, but with Guqin. I've been fortunate to hear an instrument that's like 800 years old, and it was like a master class instrument. I think it was owned by an emperor.
Oh
yeah. It's like an incredible instrument, like a top tier Stradivarius, but just I think twice as old, or and that it sounded amazing.
Yeah, most of the instruments that survive in China were usually owned by like the upper class, or like especially by emperors, or like friends of the emperors, that's the only way it would have survived, I guess.
Wow. Well, I know a lot of the material for instruments like these, they don't exist anymore. The traditional woods, and I know at least with Guqin, I think the actual species of tree that they use just doesn't exist anymore.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Because I know the type of wood is used for almost all Chinese stringed instruments is paulownia wood. It's the same wood that's made this instrument, and that's the kind of wood that's been used for like pretty much for all of Chinese musical history to make stringed musical instruments.
You know what I bet it is like with Stradivari, they were using very old, large trees. So they had a really consistent and large grain.
Yeah,
right?
That makes a difference.
And maybe it's not that. I should do more research, but maybe it's not that the tree went extinct. It's that they don't have any of the same age and size anymore.
It's great that you say that, because this instrument, even though it's a student quality instrument, it's a really good quality student's instrument, and I don't have a professional quality one. I don't have the money for that one. It's not that expensive, but it still requires a good amount of money.
Money's money.
Money is money.
Yeah, I get it.
I mean, so funny enough, the best quality guzheng are not made in China. They're actually made in Japan. There's this instrument making company that they kind of they make their guzheng, and it's such a great quality sound. I mean, the main difference that they have is that they use wood that's the same kind of wood but much older. It's really old, like 80, 100 years old, but it's wood that's grown, made specifically to make musical instruments. And so it's really incredible. Like the sound difference is really amazing. Like in China, the top quality guzheng instruments are really great, but for some reason, the Japanese instrument makers, they figured out something. I don't know what they did, but they figured out something. And
that seems almost like a it seems very Japanese, right? Like I think I mean they went and they got cows.
Oh, yeah.
And then now they have Kobe beef, which is like the best beef in the world. Sure. And I think Japanese whiskey is similarly like incredible. I think it's just being super anal about every tiny detail of the process.
I personally think it's all the fish,
All the fish, yeah.
I think it's all the sushi. That's my theory.
Yeah.
It's not scientific, but that's my theory.
I've heard the theory that the top gamers are like Korean.
Oh, really?
And I've heard people say it's the kimchi, which sounds so ridiculous, but I don't know, maybe it's true.
I mean, who knows?
Maybe that's true.
Who knows about these things?
I think it's just working really, really hard at it. Yeah.
I guess so, yeah.
But it could be the fish.
It could be the
Could
fish.
be the fish.
I think, I don't know, they put something in the fish.
Yeah.
Maybe the fish grows in a certain, I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, they make great quality guzheng. It's excellent. And the wood, so this kind of wood, it's it's called oven dried. So what it is that the wood, it's dried in an oven, and that's why it has this kind of brownish color on it. There's another kind of guzheng that's called air dried, and the color of that wood, it has a natural yellowish whitish wood color. And the sound quality is quite different. Like this one sounds a little more it's much more softer and kind of more sweeter, but the air dried guzheng is much more kind of, I guess, operatic, if I can put it that way. It's much louder.
Okay.
It's the ideal instrument when playing with an orchestra,
right?
Because this instrument, the orchestra will overpower this instrument very easily. But with the air-dried guzheng, with the yellow whitish wood color, it's much louder and it's much more suitable for a larger stage, or especially when you don't have a microphone. And in Japan, their guzheng are not oven-dried, air-dried. But it looks oven-dried because the wood is very old, but it's so incredible. You see with such clarity the shapes and everything, and it's like, oh, it's really beautiful. It's too beautiful. You wouldn't want to play that instrument because it's too beautiful to look at.
Have you heard this this thing which is a joke about guitar players, which is how many guitars does a guitar player need? Just one more, right? It says, is it the same with guzheng? Are you just like, what I'm saying is, given infinite space and money, would you just have infinite guzheng?
I used to really want, because the way that it's made, the way there's so many different designs, of and decorations on the instrument, like they're so beautiful, and I used to like want as many as possible, but now I just want the one with the best quality but the simplest design.
Right.
And in Japan they have quite a good ones, great quality ones with very simple designs.
Right.
Sometimes even no design, just a plain wood, and it's very beautiful. Yeah.
I have to fight that with guitars, right? Because
Yeah.
I just start like, it's like porn or something. You just look at the guitars and you're like, oh yeah,
That one.
and you see ones that are like $10,000 and they've got like these intricate patterns and things.
Oh yeah.
And at some point you just go, well, I mean, I guess I could do this instead of practice the actual. You know, like there's guys that have like 12 guitars but they can't play. Yeah.
I guess I don't really need $10,000. You know, I guess I can just give that away. You know?
I tell people that I have two jokes. One is kind of related to Chinese stuff. I guess it's not a joke. I say one of the nice things about music is you get to spend as much money as you want.
Oh yeah.
On it. And the other one is there's an ancient Chinese proverb, which is if you give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. But if you teach him to be a musician, he'll be poor for the rest of his life. No, if you teach him to be a musician and like instruments, he'll be poor for the rest of his life.
That is
Yeah.
so true, and it makes me so sad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, the funny thing, I would like the greatest quality guzheng, like in Japan, they're rarely over like $10,000. You know, there's some of them that's like really special, and there are a few more like $1,000. Like one of them is I think 90,000, but generally but most of that is mainly the design and like the
Right.
Oh, that like the general top quality guzhengs that are made in Japan are just around $10,000, and the top quality strings for the whole set is not even $100 US. You know, so it's
wow.
it's really great. Like compare that to like a violin, like not even a top quality violin, but a good quality violin is like $50,000.
$50 million.
Yeah. Like
Just start making up words.
Just for a good quality violin. Forget top quality, just a good quality. And the strings, just good quality strings, not the top quality violin strings. Good quality violin strings can be hundreds of dollars. You know, it's like, I don't know.
I don't think it's necessary, actually. I mean, at some point it feels like it's just like Beanie Babies, you know, or it's like, I mean, how many very nice instruments does a person need, right?
Oh, yeah.
At some point it's like you have to start actually producing work, like real.
Oh, yeah.
It's like having very nice pens.
Oh yeah.
I had a friend that had many like $1,000 pens. He had a really nice job for a while, and I think he just converted his savings into pens, you know. And it's kind of like, I mean, I could imagine getting one, but
One.
yeah. I don't know, but if that's your thing, then do it. Whatever makes you happy, I'm not going to judge you. Like, if, you know, if I had enough money, I would also fill my room with instruments. So, okay. So you heard Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. We're going to roll it back around.
Oh yeah.
Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. You got lessons an hour away.
Yeah.
And then what happened? You know, did you?
That's a big mess. So what happened is that I hated going to school for the sole reason that it took up so much of the day, and I couldn't practice as much as I wanted to. So what I would do, especially when I was in high school, I would skip the classes to just go and practice, and the school reacted in a way that I thought was not really rational. But what they did, so like they really wanted to expel me because I just told them in the not so polite way, is just back off, you know. I'm not, you know, doing drugs.
You on drugs?
I'm not,
Right.
you know, I'm not getting in trouble. I'm just like, I'm practicing music. That's
Right.
all I want to do. I mean, but they reacted as if I were doing drugs or something, you know. So they wanted to expel me, but the thing is, for the schools in this country especially, if you expel a student, the school looks really bad. So what they usually do is that they push the student around to all these different things like remedial classes, remedial schools, and all of that. And just and I was in these like classes in schools with like these people who are actually getting in trouble, people who are violent, people who are very angry, and just like mean people, you know. And me, I'm just sitting there like, wait a minute, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
Why am I here? What did I do? And but so then I started to skip those classes because they also took a lot of time away from the instrument, and eventually I guess I don't know how to put it exactly. I wasn't expelled, but I didn't drop out. But I was taken out.
Wandered away.
I don't know how to put it. I don't know how to put it.
Just drifted away.
I mean, I guess in the end I could say that I dropped out, but that wasn't what really happened. That doesn't explain exactly what really happened. I didn't really drop out. I wasn't really expelled, but I was expelled. But I did drop out, and but I didn't. But I did. But I didn't. It's like it's a weird situation.
Can you give us just like a ding 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 ding? And then he faded away. Beautiful. Yeah.
I just faded away. That's exactly what happened. It was just one big mess.
It's really funny where, you know, the school system goes like, okay, we got this kid, and he knows what he wants to do with his life, or at least he's very serious about this thing. And he's kind of an emotional, artistic type. What do? Let's put him in like the class with the roughest possible people. Let's give him a really hard time. Let's drag him through the mud, you know?
Funny enough, as mean as those other kids were, they didn't really mess with me because they're like...
Really?
Like,
well, I guess they had their own...
They were nice to me. I was nice to them. Like, I wasn't treated badly by any of them. Although if they treated each other terribly, but with me, it was all fine. I guess they saw that I was just harmless or something. I don't know. Like, I didn't challenge them in any way. I wasn't like the rough and tough kind of guy. I guess they knew that I was there for like no real reason. So
you told me the story that someone tried to start a fight with you in a
God.
bar
In China. Yeah. So in China, my friend, he wanted to go to a club and he didn't want to go by himself. And I was like, all right, I understand. You know, I'm not really the club kind of person. So I went over there I went over there with him anyway. And there was this one person, he was very drunk. He reeked of alcohol, and he just saw me. And I guess he just didn't like me, and he wanted to fight me. And I didn't argue with him. This wasn't a Chinese person. It was another foreigner. I don't know where he was from, but that didn't really matter. He just wanted to fight me.
Hey, fat boy, you wanna fight?
Yeah. And it's like and I didn't argue with him because, you know, you can't argue with drunk people. So
Right.
I just told him, all right. And he spoke good English, even though he was very drunk. And it was like, all right, I'll fight you. It's no problem. But first, let me tell you a story. And if you like the story, that's it. You got to leave me alone. But if you don't like the story, I give you permission to beat me up. I won't fight back, nothing. And he's like, fine, tell me the story. So I tell him this like long story. And it was a very beautiful story. And it's a guaranteed tearjerker. So
Right.
he ended up crying. You know, and because it was a very beautiful story,
Yeah.
like, and he just didn't any eagerness he had to fight with me just kind of vanished with the story, and that was it. So like the story saved me big time, you know. And
I feel like that's why people didn't mess with you.
I guess so.
You're just kind of like, hey, you nerd, and you're like, maybe that is true, but have you considered this? And they're like, I don't know what's going on, and I don't like it, but all right, I'll leave you alone.
No,
kid."
because like you really can't argue with someone who's drunk and angry and who wants to fight. So I was like, all right, I'll agree with whatever you say, but allow me to tell you a story.
I was in a club in China once, and you know, this is when I was dancing like hard, like all the time. And I was there with my crew, and we were just having a good time. And we were up on this like stage, and I was dancing, and one of the ladies who was in my crew says, Brian, look out. And I look over, and there's this guy who's just like really drunk, and he was throwing this like really big, wide, slow haymaker at me, and I just kind of went "Whoa," like this, and the fist goes over my head, and he just falls down onto the table with all of his friends there, and they all stand up like to fight me, like they look confused, like, oh, like what just happened, and I go, I'm sorry, I don't know why, what just happened. And they just kind of went, well, okay, I guess. Okay. You know, and they kind of dragged him out of there. But yeah, no, I think that's a common kind of thing.
I guess so, in clubs.
I haven't been to a lot of clubs in the United States.
Yeah, I mean,
but I imagine it's probably the same.
Probably,
just
I don't know.
People starting fights and
maybe.
You know, yeah. Huh.
Oh, well.
Yeah, you know, that's life, right?
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, you and I did a track.
That's right.
Together.
That was crazy. 2 whole days in one room.
Yeah.
With you and making and I'm not talking about like 2 whole days, like a few hours. I'm talking about like 2 days.
We didn't really sleep.
We completely lost track of time. We would go work into the night, just like making this song that it happened completely by accident.
Yeah.
You know? I was just messing around, and you liked one thing that I was doing, and so he's like, do more of that. So I did that, and you recorded it, and
we just kept
going,
massaging it. Yeah, yeah. It was weird. Like I think we talked, and we basically said, yeah, come over and we'll mic the guzheng up and see it and just play around a little bit. Yeah. And like, you know, just see like maybe there's something we can do with it composition wise, or you know, maybe I can do some samples. And we ended up just composing a whole track.
That was crazy.
Which should come out on the EP after my next EP.
Yeah, I can't wait. It's like that was so exciting because like it was just so much fun. Like we had no idea what we were doing, but we loved it and we did it and it was great. And we just tried all these different things.
It's a really weird track too.
Oh yeah.
Go ahead.
No, like we even used a special tuning for the music that has never been used before. At least not according to my own research. It's just a very awkward tuning on the instrument. Whenever there's a different tuning on the instrument, it's usually pretty comfortable for it. But the tuning that we used
was really weird.
Really weird. It sounded. I remember I said it sounded like a mermaid for some reason.
Yeah.
It just sounded like a mermaid to me.
Really, really cool. So retuning this thing takes a lot of time.
Oh my god, it took forever.
And we did it like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
We kept, and I'd be like, yo, let's do this, and can we do these notes? And we're like, oh, I have to retune the instrument. And I would just say, all right, I'll go make a cup of coffee.
Coffee time, my dreamy friend, it's coffee time. Let's sing a silly little rhyme and have a cup of coffee.
I'll see you in like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So
it takes forever, but I mean, it
was worth it.
Like I can do it fast, but I'm not satisfied when I do it fast. Like I need to take a lot of time to do it.
Perfect.
It's got to be perfect, you know.
But we talked about it. If we want to actually perform the song live, you'll need 2 guzhengs.
Yeah, I'll need to. I mean, either that or there'll have to be a very, very long interlude where I can switch the tune.
I can just solo.
Get your harmonica out, you know, just belt it out, you know.
That sounds great. Just do free jazz for like 12 minutes.
Oh my god, that'd be great. Yeah.
Yeah. Would it be great?
I think that would be pretty amazing.
I mean,
for me at least.
Well, yeah, it'd be great for me too. Like, as people are like leaving, you know, I'm just still there noodling and making.
Yeah.
Free jazz is not accessible.
I guess not.
Yeah, but our track was very accessible.
That one was so
great.
Cool. It was really cool.
Very unique, very interesting. And I guess everyone will get to hear it someday.
Oh yeah, it was just really great, really fun. And what was funny is that I as it was happening, I was thinking, you know, like how the hell is, you know, this guy gonna do some vocals with this? Because it didn't sound like a vocal piece to me. But as towards the end of it, when we were kind of fixing it all together, you know, you were doing all these like little improvisations with it just to see where you wanted it to go, and it's like, oh my god, this needs vocals right now. He has to do it.
The baby talk vocals.
The
where,
baby
you know, where you're just like, and then you words.
Words.
You know?
It didn't sound like that. It sounded much better.
It sounded better, yeah.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be great if that was the track?
Oh my god.
Like we talk it up really big and then everyone downloads it and they just get like 12 minutes of that.
Oh my god, that would be...
That's what I'll do while you're tuning the guzheng.
That's what you should do while I tune
We'll
it.
just make noises.
That would be...
Fantastic.
Genius. It's genius.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. And comment.
Yes.
And
share.
And share.
Because
And
sharing is caring.
And
hit the bell for notifications.
oh, hit the bell. You gotta hit the bell.
Hit the bell for
That
notifications.
way you know exactly when I post a new video. That's the world we live in.
That's the world.
I think I said that in another interview.
Oh yes, with the saxophonist.
You watch my interviews.
Well, they're pretty funny.
Okay, cool. I hope so.
Yeah, you said that with the saxophonist. I don't think you said it with the director Bogdan. No, you didn't say that.
No.
But you,
I did say it. I guess I'm repeating myself a lot. I did say it in one take with him that we didn't use.
Ah, okay.
Like there's stuff that got cut out. That's why at the beginning we're laughing when I where I got his name wrong.
Yeah, that's
is because we did that like 7 times and something was wrong every time. Like, we should sit up, and like, we're out of this, and then this thing. I'm learning. You know, just like earlier in the day. When the camera was out of focus.
That's right.
And we decided to go and get haircuts and change our clothes.
Right. We did decide to do that. We decided mutually.
Just hours ago.
Yeah, just a few hours.
Like, yeah. So, okay. So we should start to wrap it up.
Yeah.
But, oh man, this is going to be a big topic. That's not wrapping it up at all. What does this instrument mean to you, and what's the spiritual significance of it to you? You seem like a pretty spiritual guy.
Why? Is it because all of my energy is focused on this little knot up here?
Yeah.
All of my chi is focused on this little spot.
So for people who don't know, that's not his hair. That's actually a lump of head that popped out because of all of the spiritual energy.
Indeed, that's what it is. It's actually a tumor from
it's
radiation.
A tumor. From
radiation poisoning.
That's the side effect of classical music.
Okay, well, just to do it a little, say this a little briefly, what this instrument means to me.
Can you do it while playing?
Oh.
Is it possible?
Yeah. Okay, so like, this instrument means so much to me. It's like the voice of my heart. And whenever I hear it, I'm always feeling so moved. And it always finds a way into my heart and my soul, whatever you want to call it. It just makes its way, and it makes its way so beautifully. It doesn't force its way at all. It just kind of jumps in, and like going into a swimming pool or a lake or something, it just jumps in, and it's
a body
really
of water.
A body of water, exactly. So, yeah, to put it concisely, this instrument means a lot to me. And the spiritual aspects of it. So yeah, traditional Chinese music is very, very spiritual. Actually, the story of how this instrument was created, it's about this family of musicians, and these musicians, in this family, there's a lot of disharmony. And so to fix this, to return the harmony into the household, the father creates this musical instrument. So it's like this instrument brings peace and harmony and tranquility into the heart, and it's so beautiful. Excuse me, I'm getting emotional. there's a lot of spiritual meaning to this. For example, the shape of the instrument, the curved top, it represents in the Chinese culture what's called a tian, the heavens, and the flat bottom is it represents the earth, and the space in the middle represents the life or everything else, in between the heavens and the earth. It's been said that music in China that it's been said that music was given to people as a gift from the heavens so that we may be able to connect ourselves with the higher. And apart from the shape of the instrument, the notes, they're in what's called pentatonic scale. 5 notes. And it just repeats over and over again. And these 5 notes represent in Chinese culture the 5 elements of all nature. So it's like everything about it is supposed to bring you closer to the elements, to the nature, to the world. It's believed in the traditional Chinese culture that being at harmony with nature is being at harmony with yourself. So yes, nature, yourself, it's not separated. It's just all part of each other. It's very beautiful. And it's so gentle. I really believe that this music has made me a much more softer, gentle person, It really just lifts everything up, and I think I said before that I believe that the human heart is a very rich soil, full of all kinds of seeds, and I feel that, especially with this instrument and this music, that this music waters the more gentler seeds of the heart.
It's very beautiful.
Indeed, very beautiful. And there's just so much spiritual stuff. It will take a lot of time. But that's just a brief example of the spiritual aspects of the music. But yeah, a lot of it is very, very, very beautiful and poetic.
So, would you mind playing something as we end the interview?
Very well. A music or a story?
Oh, you tell great stories. You tell stories with the guzheng. Let's do this. Just play some classical music to leave us out, and maybe we can do another video of just you telling a story.
Very well. Okay, no problem. I'll play you out.
All right, everyone. Yashar Garzan, thank you very much.
Thank you, Brian.
Great to have you here.
Great to have me here, too.
All right. See ya.
See you.
This video was brought to you by the insurmountable support of these exceptional people. Mogar, consumer of many onions. Cat 5, a mighty warrior clad only in live bunnies. Mr. Rajab, capable of building anything with tinfoil. Light Data, with the power to control his hands with only his mind. Count Dancemore, collector of many fine spoons, Gary Zans, who makes faces when he eats, and Martine Reichen, whose name is whispered in the halls of mighty heroes. To have your great deeds remembered, please consider becoming one of my epic patrons.